We live in uncertain times. Did Russia hack Donald Trump into the White House? And what will cause Brexit in the end? Chaos? There are many factors what are worrying the financial markets in the moment. So let's say it in one word. What we are talking about now is security for your portfolio.
The contrasts in a challenge couldn't be more glaring. Today, the oldest investment is competing against the defense in the war of the modern age, gold versus cybersecurity. Let's take a look at the opponents. What speaks in favor of gold? Correction of the gold price is well advanced, making it interesting especially for euro investors. In uncertain times, gold is in demand as a safe haven. What are the arguments for cybersecurity? Cyber attacks are growing. The need for companies to protect themselves is increasing, and big data in particular is at risk.
The German Bild-Zeitung wrote on its title already, inflation. And if newspapers like this write about financial themes on their title, they're normally wrong, and it's a good contra-indication. But since the election of Donald Trump and his promise of further growth, the expectations of more inflation are rising around the globe. But inflation is just one factor what can make gold exciting. Another factor is the fear of a collapse of the financial system. Also in this situation, gold can be the safe haven.
Both when the dot-com bubble burst and in the financial crisis after the Lehman crash, gold was in demand as a safe haven. Finally, during the euro crisis, the gold price rose to its highest ever level.
Giles Keating, chairman of the Werthstein Institute. What makes gold attractive from your point of view?
Well, Stefan, look at this chart. I think the first reason is that the price has come down, and it's come down a bit in euros, but come down a long way when you measure it in dollars. And that actually brings me to my second reason. I do think the dollar's going to go up, and so a euro-based investor buying the gold denominated in dollars can gain from that. And then the third reason, I'm afraid, is all the global political uncertainty.
Robert Ruttmann in Zurich. Giles Keating said prices came down a lot. Also enough, in your opinion?
On a short-term perspective, they have come down. But if you look back around 30 to 40 years, the current price is still about double the long-term average. A second important point is the fact that gold is not an infallible safe haven asset. It can, in the short term, actually be quite volatile, as we saw in 2010 and 2011 when it fell by 30% in 1 year.
Thank you, Robert. And now to our other Zeitgeist. It's about defense in a war, but not a war with traditional weapons. It's a war that takes place in the internet. In 2016, the NATO declares the virtual space to a war zone. And there's still the question if Russia manipulated the US presidential election. Of course, the German government now is on alert ahead of the elections.
The attackers come from nowhere and without warning. Paralyzing websites and telephone networks may be fairly harmless, but far more serious things are thinkable. The power supply of entire cities is cut off. In an age of increasingly modern infrastructure, traffic comes to a halt. Aircraft are grounded, trains can no longer run, and the hackers take over control of entire industrial plants, oil refineries and power stations. They could target any of these with devastating consequences. To counter this threat, an entire industry is growing up, which in these uncertain times is being flooded with orders.
Valerie Plagnol, Werthstein Institute Fellow. Is this trend for you interesting from an investment perspective?
It is. This sector is evolving almost every day and changing. There is no one solution for cybersecurity, but new technology, more and more sophisticated service providers and producers are coming into this market. I think with recent cyber attacks, companies' awareness will grow even further.
But of course, this topic is already talk of the town, and normally then the prices are already very high. Robert Ruttmann in Zurich, is that correct?
I agree with you 100%, Giles, especially with respect to the political uncertainties in 2017. And also relative to the cybersecurity idea, where I really do think that prices have run so strongly, that valuations are so high that I do not think that they justify an entry point at these levels. In addition to that, in 2017, in terms of cybersecurity, I see no drivers to drive prices to lift them from the already high current levels.
Very interesting contrasts. Gold on the one hand as a hedge after a long correction, or cybersecurity nearly the high and possibly at the peak. For what Zeitgeist the Werthstein Institute members will vote for.
Well, my vote goes to cybersecurity.
My vote definitely goes to gold.
My vote goes to gold.
And now this is the result. Gold wins the challenge in a very tight race, 2-1 against cybersecurity. So gold is a new Zeitgeist. But the Werthstein Institute will continue to monitor cybersecurity and look for cheaper opportunities in the future. But in the moment, gold is a better investment. And if you are also convinced, please add it to your portfolio.